6, The Mouse with the Question Mark Tail. And Chapter 6 is called A Life of Drum and Trumpet. Naked steel slashing above my ears severed the thread that hung me from the tree. Down I dropped in a heap. The ewe-mouse of the guard snipped the last threads that bound me. My tail fell in its customary question mark behind. I struggled upright and considered making a run for it. It wasn't to be. The ewe-mouse looked me up and down, mostly down. "Field mouse?" he inquired. He had a twitch to his whiskers. I could scarcely believe my ears. "Field mouse?" I drew up to show him my best bearing and perfect posture. "Field mouse?" He seemed to wave me away. "We'll get all sorts here during the Jubilee," he said. "Country people in droves up to town for the royal parade. Country mice, field mice, all sorts. Harmless, most of them, but no business being here in a royal park, and the palace itself is strictly off limits, except to the official and invited. We've even had a chinchilla this morning. Would you believe it? Curious-looking cove, odd ears, all the way from South America somehow. Didn't speak a word of English. We had to go for an interpreter. Then he said he was looking for the Argentine embassy. I ask you, we escorted him off the premises. It's been that sort of day, and things can only get worse tomorrow." He was very full of himself, this ewe-mouse, clearly a sergeant major from the stripes on his sleeve, and I hadn't particularly cared for that field mouse remark. He stroked his whiskers, so I stroked mine, though mine were soft and silky, and not the bristles I wanted them to be. But now he'd sheathed his worrisome sword, so I wondered if I could make an example of him. I made a pair of fists. My knuckles were still swollen from the latest thwacks from the toothpick, so they made a good showing. "Care to go a round of fisticuffs to see who's the better mouse?" I inquired. This was cheeky, and I'd never won a fight. Still, there's always a first time. He wasn't all that much bigger. He was mostly just uniform. I danced about a bit as boxers do, but then I got tangled in the net strings and fell over. "Have you any idea how ridiculous you're being?" The ewe-mouse's hands were on his red serge hips. "I have the authority to throw you in irons and put you away until the next rain." "On what charge?" I demanded, staggering to my feet. "Trespass, for a start," the sergeant major snapped. This was too much. "Trespass?" I pointed my longest finger past him. There on the far horizon was the north wall of the Mews. I was this close to home, this far. "I happen to be a mouse of the Royal Mews." I slapped my scrawny chest. "Trespass indeed. We meet upon my native ground, practically." The sergeant major considered me. "From the Mews, are you? Might have known. But if I was you, I wouldn't say so. Not out here in the world. After all, the Mews is only a barn, isn't it? And smells like one. Come to that, so do you." The sergeant major smirked. Behind me, begonias stirred. A wheeze of muffled laughter rose from back there. I chanced to glance behind to see here and there the black velvet hats and pointed ears of more ewe-mice of the guard poking up from the herbaceous border. Guardians of the wall, no doubt. I was surrounded. But my spirit was unbowed. "In case you haven't heard, we of the Mews keep the royals rolling, human and mice alike. We are even now preparing the Queen's landau for her parade tomorrow." I had fluffed out all my fur. "You astonish me," said the sergeant major, though he didn't look particularly astonished. "As for smelling like a horse," I continued, "I arrived on a horse." I squared up my shoulders, such as they were. "You came by horse?" The human's eyebrows rose. His whiskers nearly twitched off his snout. "Did you ride astride or side saddle? I'm only asking." At that, the begonias burst into helpless laughter. "I rode in a horse's ear and got flicked out," I said with dignity. "Then I dropped off a twangy branch and fetched up in a shady glade." The begonias were in hysterics now, and no doubt falling about. The sergeant major was tearing up. He wiped his eye. All right, he said. "Don't tell us how you got here if you don't want to." "It is the truth," I said importantly. Besides, I am very possibly being followed by a search party. I have the distinct sense of being sought after. The sergeant major peered around me in search of a search party, but there was nothing back there but my tail and the giggling begonias. And now I had better be on my way. I need to find my horse, I explained. Who knows how long it may take to catch up with him? On Jubilee Day, he'll be drawing the landau with Queen Victoria in it, and I need a word with her regarding a personal matter. I'll thank you to escort me off the premises, like the chinchilla. The begonias whooped. The sergeant major could hardly speak for laughing, which I found rude. His finger was in my face now. No, son, you're not going anywhere. We're short-handed these Jubilee days, stretched thin. I can hardly spare the mouse power to put you under guard. Do you know your left foot from your right? Naturally, I said. Surely he wouldn't need proof? And you can march? Anyone can, I remarked. I don't know about that, the sergeant major said. You fall over. It was the net, I said. Are you not yet full grown, or are you just short? A bit of both, I suppose. I had already drawn myself up as far as I would go. I shall very likely live to regret this, as you seem to have dropped out of nowhere, the sergeant major said gravely. He was the picture of skepticism, also pomposity. But how would you like to be a ewe-mouse of the guard? It's either that, or you're my prisoner. What's it to be? I stared at this so-called choice. A silence lingered. There was only the quietest susurration, and it was from somewhere on high. I'd hoped to find my fate, but had my fate found me? Was I meant for a life of drum and trumpet and the defense of the palace? A ewe-mouse of the guard? I liked the uniform. It was far smarter than the school blue. And I liked the sword. Useful things, swords. In a world of nets and everybody's bigger. And so, with a small shrug, I lifted my arm and gave the sergeant major a salute, with my spindly fingers splayed flat against my forehead. All right, and that's where we're going to end. So he's just become a member of the guard that guards the palace, but the mouse guard, not the human one. That didn't finish chapter 6 because it's another super long chapter. So I'll finish chapter 6 tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great day.